Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to TNN Raw and Uncut, where you get nothing but news delivered to you with no filter and no script by none other than Tommy Sotomayor.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to TNN News Raw. I'm your host, Mr. Tommy Sotomayor. And this message was sent to me, it's a Twitter message. It was sent to me by a Mr. The with an extra E, unknown. And his Twitter handle is at KOOLJOOEZ. And the unknown sent me a message, and it simply stated, 9 dead and at least 35 wounded in Chicago over the Easter weekend. And we black folks claim to be so religious and we love the Lord. Yet on the weekend that's supposed to celebrate his death and subsequent resurrection, in one small city, well, big city, but amongst one group of people, you had 9 reported deaths, murders, and 35 plus wounded. Now, there's some people on the internet who will tell you that I'm so bad that they must dedicate 7 days of the week, hours of the day, to ridding the internet and black people of me because they are for black empowerment. And there's nothing wrong with that, except you never hear them broach this topic. You never hear them get up on these topics where people are dying over the actions of these inner cities that are overrun by single parents. Go ahead and roll that genocidal beam footage.
And they rolled up in the car with their guns out, asking us where we was and asked us what we DOD'ing with them. And we said no, then they started shooting.
They was just shooting.
She couldn't do nothing, she was shot. So they shot her right here.
Shot her, and then she turned around and they shot her in the back.
You can't even come to the park and enjoy yourself without this happening. Like, kids should be able to come in their community without, worried about violence.
But they don't take the kids.
It needs to stop.
And I just kept on saying, I'm shot. And I it's like I couldn't believe it. So.
14-year-old Jamonte White is at home and on the mend from an Easter Sunday he wants to forget. White and his grandmother didn't want their faces on camera as they talked about the weekend gun violence that left White with a gunshot wound to the leg and a cousin seriously injured.
I just saw people getting shot, hollering, screaming.
White and 4 others had been playing at a park in the 6600 block of South Michigan. They were walking to a nearby gas station when he says a car pulled up and someone asked if they were in a gang. Then shots began to ring out.
They ain't never give us a chance to respond and say we ain't in no gang, and they just start shooting.
Bullets hit White and 4 others. The youngest victim, his 11-year-old cousin, Tymisha Washington. The 5th grader remains in ICU at Stroger Hospital. Despite being shot in the neck and chest, she's able to talk to her parents.
Yeah, she wants to go home, but the doctor said she might be in about a week.
We talked about it here last night, and then this morning we're talking about I was getting calls from...
At St. Sabina Catholic Church this evening, a press conference calling for peace. The first of what could be many in a city searching for ways to end gun violence.
We cannot let summer in Chicago 2014 become a bloodbath where children are shot down or killed or afraid to go out of their house.
The negativity and niggerance is on constant display in predominantly black neighborhoods that are typically predominantly lower class neighborhoods as well. The next question is, well, what do we do? What do we say? Where do we go? No one wants to talk about the fact that these are predominantly single parent homes. These children are predominantly children who don't grow up with fathers. The women talked about how the kids can't even go outside and play. But in typical fashion, everyone forgets that the reason they're in these downtrodden neighborhoods is because we live in a society right now where 2 heads are better than 1. And sometimes you need 3 grown people with jobs living in the house just to sustain a safe living. I think it is absolutely criminal at this stage of the world to have children when you don't have money and when you live in violent neighborhoods. I think every mother in Chicago who lives in those bad cities, who lives in those downtrodden situations, who lives in those bad economic situations, I think every one of them should be charged with child abuse every time they come up pregnant. I think every time they have a child in those bad neighborhoods, in those ghettos, they should be charged with child neglect. See, here's what we do to a man if he can't afford his children. See, we put him in jail. We call it a crime if a man have too many kids he can't take care of. And that's by a system that says, here's how much you must give every month. These mothers are not held to that standard. Let's talk about these boys. These boys grow up without even thinking that life goes farther than their little hood. Black women, let me tell you something. Do you know why these black boys are joining these gangs? I'm pretty sure you know why. Because they're looking for a family. And that is the closest semblance to structure that they have in their lives. Never heard anybody tell you that, huh? Because they won't. Because that's the one thing you have when white supremacy wants to make sure that your kids have no idea what family looks like. Because most kids crave structure. And the only time they get a good beating, a good code of honor, is out in them streets. So this is what you have, black women. But again, you knew this because you're working with the side that's setting this up. Because if black women were not working with the side that's setting this up, do you know what black women would be doing right now? Boycotting this violence like they boycott me. Riling up some black men to quote unquote do the right thing like they're doing online with things they don't like. Black men, I want you to pay me close attention. Listen. And just let this compute. Black women are not petitioning to stop violence in no neighborhoods. Black women could stop violence in the neighborhoods. This is true. They could, number one, stop having so many children in these neighborhoods in which they cannot afford. They could, number two, stop dealing with having sex or doing anything with thugs and men with no future. They could, number three, stand up in front of the community and say, this must stop. But you ask yourself, why is it that black women can get together and boycott men who say they don't look good with weed? Black women can get together and boycott white men that say nappy head hoes, but they cannot get together and boycott and rally against the murder and death of their own children. See, a lot of you guys are stuck in the matrix, and every time I say something, it pisses you off because, well, he's actually telling the truth and he's opening up some eyes. The people who don't like me are people who thrive and survive in the niggerance and negativity. The black folks who see outside of the matrix, that's why they listen to me. That's why they subscribe to me. That's why they register to the website. They told me, there's no way you could have a website and charge people. Here we are, 300 plus members later. 300 plus members later, in less than a week. And it continues to grow daily. Why? Because there are black people who are tired of being painted with the same brush as these idiots. There's no reason that a Chicago should be a place where people fear going. I don't fear going to West Hollywood. I don't fear going to the Hollywood Hills. I don't fear going to Santa Barbara. I don't fear going up to Canton. I don't fear going anywhere where there's a small number of black people. But even here in the area where I stay, it's a nice area. But black folks don't take care of stuff. They don't. And we think this is okay to live. Black people are afraid of black people. There are black people who will say, I don't want to go to Chicago. I don't want to go to D.C. I don't want to go to Atlanta. Why don't you name some white areas of the United States? Name some Chinese areas. Some kind of Asian areas. Where you walk and you fear for your safety, for your life, for your possessions. You name some. Because everywhere there's a high concentration of us, there's a high concentration of violence against us by us. And the one group of people that y'all love so much, them so-called queens, they letting you do it. These were children, people, who were targeted on the streets. These were 9 deaths in a weekend. There are some cities in America that are all white that don't have any murders at all. I know one here in Georgia that hadn't had a murder in 10 years. 10 years. No one's been murdered. But Chicago's had a murder, what's that, an average of 3 a day? And that's just because the other ones were stupid enough to survive, if you want to look at it that way. Let's just say the perpetrators had their way with it. We'd be looking at 46 deaths in a 2-day span. 3-day, we'll give it Friday. Go to the website and read this story. It chronicles not only the deaths, but how these people were murdered and how sick it sounds. You saw that video about the Chicago schools, of how horrible those damn kids were. It's getting to the point where these people can't be helped. Only thing you can do is quarantine them off. The sad part is, I say what I say about it. You get mad. You say I'm cooning. You don't like it. But you know what white people do? They laugh. Because the animals are killing themselves. And that's a part of the news that you don't see. Because right after they publicize these murders, they will tell you about the gangs. And then they'll play you the new Gangster from Chicago CD, who glorifies everything that they put up. It's a big cycle. And no one wants to stop it. Go read the article. The link will be in the description box. It's at TommySotomayor.com. I'm Tommy Sotomayor. This is TNN News Raw.
Fucking believable. 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 Fucking believable.